Hello there. This is James, and you're watching OneRoyal, and it's live. In today's program, I want to discuss once again another turnaround. From the back of the late drama we got on Friday, and the implication that has on the market. As well as that, I want to talk about some big events happening this week, in particular, an earnings report from a particular company. But before we get into all of that, don't forget, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should ever be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your own due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out of the way, let's get started. So, yes, straight away, we have had once again, a turnaround by Trump. Because on Friday, we got more threats. Starting off, of course, with the threats against Apple, where Trump said that if Apple products not made in the United States, he would impose 25% tariffs on Apple. Really? I mean, realistically, how would that work? As obviously Apple has taken probably decades to set up its supply lines, its manufacturing, etc. Moving all its operations over to the United States, training a workforce, putting in the supply lines, building these manufacturers. It's going to take years, so it's not going to work. I mean, this is not the first time, of course, that Trump has attacked businesses or US companies. Don't forget, he attacked verbally Walmart and Amazon. Both those firms basically mentioned that prices are going to go up because of tariffs. And he doesn't like companies telling the truth to the consumer that yes, prices are going to go up and it's all down because of tariffs. But on Friday, he didn't just stop at Apple. Oh no, he was in full swing on Friday, because he also then at the same time threatened 50% tariffs on the EU, citing the lack of progress on talks to start on progress of talks. And these tariffs were to start on the 1st of June. Clearly, these two announcements rattled the market on Friday, with basically the market closing with weekly losses. You have the Nasdaq dropping 2.4% for the week, and the S&P 500 sliding 2.6% for the week. And then, what a difference a weekend can make. Because following a phone call with the president of the European Commission, Trump posts on his social truth thingy that he will delay the 50% tariffs on the EU till the 9th of July. This is what he had to say. July 9 will be the day. We will rapidly get together to see if we can work something out. Now, the European Commission spokesman said this. There's now also a new impetus for negotiations, and we will take it from there. They've agreed both to fast trade and trade negotiations. It carried on. And don't forget, of course, this is important, because the EU is, readying its own retaliatory tariffs of 108 billion if talks fail. However, the German finance minister said this, we have to find a common path. So, there is hope again. Like I say, a difference weekend, one phone call can make with delay of 50%. But here's the other point, though. The 9th of July, okay, is when all the reciprocal tariffs will now be kicked in back into place, because that's when the 90-day deadline ends. So all he's done is increased to 25%, which they were going to pay reciprocal, increased it to 50. And though, yes, okay, we have delayed it now till the 9th of July. That's when all reciprocal tariffs kick in, not just for the EU, but we're talking across the board, Japan, South Korea, etc., etc., etc. So it's going to be a very important date. For now, though, how the market's feeling? Well, the market is flying blind, to be honest. Yes, there is a bit of a boost today. But in general, the market is flying blind because not since sort of COVID have we had this much uncertainty. Okay. One day something can be said. All right. The next day, complete U-turn again. So the market is trying to double guess continuously. Yes, the news of the delay is giving European stocks a bit of a boost, which we'll have a look at the moment. But it's also given, another bit of a boost, or it's actually put pressure on something else, which we'll talk about in a moment. But my point being is this: the markets are really flying blind. We don't know what day from the next, what will be said, what will be implied, and where we're going. And like I've said before, we are approaching the 90-day deadline expiry. 9th of July is the expiry for reciprocal tariffs. That's when they will kick in. And like I say, as I've said before on this broadcast, lots of times, we've only had one trade deal so far, or sort of trade deal. It's not signed on the dotted line. But anyway, we'll go into the market. But more importantly, let's have a bit of a currency update. Yeah, so I want to have a quick look at a bit of a currency update because, like I say, we have got a bank holiday today in America and the UK, two of the biggest markets. So it is a little bit quieter, obviously, on the markets for us to look at. But, currency-wise, there is action going on because the knock-on effects of these recent developments, and it's really just a continuation of what has been going on anyway, is we are seeing a weaker US dollar. So let's have a quick start off with, first of all, let's have a look at the euro dollar, which is trading. It touched 114 today. It's trading just under 114. It's trading at 1.13787, but it is trading around a 3-year high against the US dollar. Same can be said as well in reference to the British pound, which was touched 1.36 as well. Currently trading at the moment 135.576. So yes, we are seeing a weaker greenback, and we can tell this by looking at the dollar index as well. The dollar index is currently trading just above the 99 level, but earlier on today it touched a 3-year low around 98. 98 it touched today. What was the level actually it touched today? 98.72. So yeah, we are seeing a weaker greenback. But like I say, the market in general is quite a day because we have got the bank holidays in the UK and the US. It's Memorial Day in the US. But you can see on the back of that delay of the 50%, Euro stocks made gains today in the European session, and so did the DAX as well. But like I say, okay, of course, we've obviously got a bank holiday in the US and the UK today. So it's a little bit quieter. This is probably why we're seeing a little bit more of a muted reaction as well to that delay. However, this week is going to be potentially a very exciting week where we're going to see a lot of focus again on Trump's tax bill. But really, these trade deals, we're going to need to see developments on these trade deals. Like I say, Friday, one thing, Monday, another thing. But the market, like I said earlier on, the market's flying blind. But it's really going to need some proper guidance of where we're going. There's something else happening this week. There's a couple of things, actually, which is happening this week, which we'll go through. But one of the other things which are really important, in my opinion, is NVIDIA's earnings are due on Wednesday. Now, NVIDIA is such a success story, okay? Since the launch of ChatGPT in November 2022, NVIDIA's share price has risen by nearly 700%. During that same period of time, the S&P has risen by only 45%. Okay? As well as that, when ChatGPT launched, NVIDIA's market cap was just over $4 billion. It now stands at $3.3 trillion. Now, just to go to show how important this is to the influence to the S&P, don't forget S&P contains 500 companies. The total contribution to S&P's performance since the 30th of November 2022, when ChatGPT came out, NVIDIA's contribution alone is 17.21%. Now, this leads me on to a really interesting thought and thing I want to talk about, which I will talk about. I'll do a special broadcast for this, where I'm going to go into a lot more detail about NVIDIA and what it means to the market, okay? Because even if you don't trade the NVIDIA shares, it still impacts the S&P 500, and it still impacts all the other tech companies like Alphabet, like Meta, etc., the Mag 7, okay? But I want to do a special broadcast on NVIDIA, and I want to ask this question, and I'll explain more in this broadcast. Is this Trump's biggest mistake? And what I mean by that question is, at the end of the day, the US, and again, we'll talk about this in the special broadcast, okay, a bit more. And I want to open it up to you good people to share your opinion. But the shining bright, the golden goose, the one industry the United States are excelling at the moment is AI, robotics, and technology. Hence, NVIDIA's success story. Now, with the attention being driven away or focus on bringing back manufacturing, are you going to kill the golden goose? Now, anyway, that's going to be part of a special broadcast I'm going to do before NVIDIA, and we're going to go into a lot more detail. I've got a lot more statistics and data to share with you. So if you're interested in that broadcast, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification so you know when I'm going to go live on that broadcast. But I think it's a really interesting topic, and I think it's something we should all ask and talk about, certainly for the future of US tech and US AI. Anyway, as well as that, this week we do have the FOMC minutes, US GDP, German retail sales, German CPI, and US PCE. Now, of course, the FOMC minutes, we're going to look to see if there's any hints of when they might increase interest rates or their views on the current economic climate. Won't be for a while yet. US GDP, retracted previous, will we see a similar negative figure? And US PCE, will we finally start to see inflation start to rise? Don't forget, if you're not part of the OneRoyal family and you wish to find out a bit more, there's a little link in the description below, so feel free to click it and check out a bit more about us. As well as that, if you're watching me on YouTube and you like this sort of thing, by all means, subscribe if you like. Hit the notification button so you know next time we're going live. And if you like this type of content and you put out with me, by all means, give me one of these. It's nice to know that you like what I Good. And don't forget, this, of course, is indeed a live broadcast. So you can talk to me anytime you wish. Anywho, oh, and one other point, actually, sorry. I have noticed a lot of people go back and watch the recordings, which is fantastic. If you do have a question after watching the recording, or you have an idea or review, put it in the comments section. I will see it and I will answer it next time I go live on air, which of course will be tomorrow as we go live every single day. On that note, as there is no questions, leave me to say one thing. Remember, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your own research, do your due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.